24/5/24/8. The sphere
Welcome to
at
another
certain
episode of The
times
Darkened Crypt,
gives us
where mysteries old and new come to light. Tonight we delve into the enigma of the Buga Sphere, an artifact that has puzzled scientists and historians alike. Join us as we unravel its secrets. Welcome once more to the shadowed corners of inquiry, where the veil between the known and the unknown thins, here within the hallowed confines of the Darkened Crypt. I'm your host, Mr. Cornwell. Tonight, we embark on an extraordinary journey across time and continents as our investigation of the Buga Sphere expands into new territories. We'll traverse from the enigmatic pyramids of Tenerife to the artistic wonders of the Renaissance, seeking connections between this mysterious object and humanity's most persistent enigmas. Could this metallic sphere represent not an isolated anomaly, but rather the latest chapter in a story thousands of years in the making? Prepare to have your understanding of history and human experience fundamentally challenged.
Of up to 33 degrees Celsius. This is something that if I start trying to find out why that happens, obviously the heat transfer from one body to another always goes from the higher temperature to the lower, right? So here we find that without an external factor towards the sphere, it increases its temperature. We try to take measurements even in the same place and also varied. We are talking at the same site in millimeters.
But first, for those just joining our investigation, let's revisit what makes the Buga Sphere so extraordinary.
They're calling it the Buga Sphere. This object was reportedly recovered in Colombia after allegedly crashing into power lines. What makes it different isn't just its polished metallic surface or the strange glyphs etched into its skin. It's what happens when you pour cold water on it. Steam rises. This isn't normal behavior. This suggests internal heat generation, energy storage, or a reaction mechanism we don't yet understand in conventional physics. The internal structure is equally perplexing. X-ray scans reveal a central spine with evenly spaced spherical objects, like beads on a string. Another scan shows 16 dense nodes clustered together, possibly indicating a processor array or data storage system. No visible wiring, no seams, no mechanical parts we recognize. Everything is sealed, modular, and completely foreign to known human technology. The glyphs etched into its surface appear mathematical or linguistic, arranged with radial symmetry around a symbol resembling a microchip. It's as if the object is declaring its function visually. These markings aren't in any known language and are etched with precision that suggests either ritualistic significance or computational purpose.
Thank you, Dr. Rios Lopez. The question remains, what is this object? A data capsule? A monitoring device? Perhaps even a biometric interface that activates only in the presence of specific genetic or energetic signatures? Whatever its purpose, the symmetrical internals and unusual material properties suggest something designed to endure for millennia, hidden until the right hands found it. The appearance of the Buga Sphere raises profound questions about our past. Throughout human history, we find accounts of spherical objects descending from the sky, often associated with significant cultural or technological shifts. Tonight we'll follow this thread through time, seeking potential connections between this modern enigma and ancient mysteries. The Canary Islands, situated off the northwest coast of Africa, have long been considered a crossroads of ancient civilizations. Tenerife, the largest of these islands, harbours a remarkable mystery that has puzzled archaeologists and historians for centuries: the pyramids of Guimar. These 6 step pyramids, located in the eastern part of Tenerife, represent one of the most controversial archaeological sites in Europe. While mainstream archaeology has often dismissed them as agricultural terraces built by farmers in the 19th century, several characteristics suggest a far more intriguing possibility. The pyramids exhibit precise astronomical alignments, particularly with the summer and winter solstices, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of celestial movements. Their construction involves carefully dressed volcanic stones, laid without mortar in a manner reminiscent of pre-Columbian structures in Mesoamerica and ancient Mesopotamian ziggurats.
What fascinates me about the Guimar pyramids from a scientific perspective is their orientation. The main structures align perfectly with the summer and winter solstices, creating what researchers call double sunset phenomena during these astronomically significant dates. This level of precision argues against casual agricultural construction and suggests a deliberate attempt to mark celestial events, perhaps even to communicate with them.
The renowned Norwegian explorer Thor Heyerdahl, famous for his Kon-Tiki expedition, was so intrigued by these structures that he spent the last years of his life investigating them. Heyerdahl proposed a bold theory that these pyramids represented evidence of transatlantic contact between early Mediterranean and American civilizations long before Columbus. The similarities between the Guimar pyramids and those found in Mexico, Peru, and ancient Mesopotamia were, in his view, too striking to be coincidental. The question becomes, what prompted the construction of these precisely aligned structures? Were they built merely to track the sun's movement, or did they serve a more profound purpose, perhaps as markers or communication points with something beyond our world? The historical record of Tenerife and the surrounding Canary Islands contains fascinating accounts that may relate to our investigation of spherical objects. When the Spanish conquered the islands in the 15th century, they encountered the indigenous Guanches, a mysterious people with origins that continue to puzzle anthropologists. The Guanches practiced mummification, built stone structures with astronomical alignments, and maintained oral traditions that included references to celestial visitors. Early Spanish chronicles document Guanche tales of luminous spheres and shining shields descending from the sky, typically near their most sacred sites, including the areas where these pyramid structures stand today. A particularly intriguing account comes from the journals of Alonso de Espinosa, a Dominican friar who documented Guanche beliefs in the late 16th century. He recorded their traditions of brilliant round objects that would appear above their sacred mountain, Teide, the massive volcano that dominates Tenerife's landscape. These objects were associated with their supreme deity, whom they called Ackerman, believed to dwell in the heavens.
What makes these accounts particularly compelling is their specificity. The Guanches describe these objects as metallic, reflective, and capable of hovering motionless before moving at impossible speeds. They consistently associated them with their most sacred sites, particularly those with astronomical significance. The biological implications are fascinating as well. The Guanches believed these visitations coincided with unusual growth patterns in local plants and altered behavior in animals, suggesting some form of environmental influence we might today associate with electromagnetic or radiation effects.
Perhaps most remarkably, archaeologists have discovered curious spherical petroglyphs, rock carvings, at several Guanche sites across the islands.
A mysterious metallic sphere discovered in Buga, Colombia appears to encode precise astronomical and mathematical constants, including the distance to the Andromeda galaxy, the orbit of Jupiter, and the inverse of the golden ratio. These embedded numbers suggest a form of intelligent communication, one that speaks in geometry, light, and cosmic proportion. Whether it is a warning, a message, or a test remains unknown. But one thing is certain, the sphere was meant to be found.
On June 22, 1976, a Spanish Navy vessel observed a bright yellow spherical object descending toward the ocean between Tenerife and Gran Canaria. As military personnel watched, the sphere reportedly hovered just above the water's surface before submerging. Similar accounts accumulated throughout that summer, with spherical objects frequently reported near the pyramids of Guimar and around Mount Teide. It wasn't like anything I'd ever seen, perfectly spherical, with a metallic yellow-gold surface that seemed to pulse with light. It moved with deliberate intent, not like an aircraft or natural phenomenon. When it touched the water's surface, there was no splash. It simply disappeared beneath, as though passing through a membrane. The most widely witnessed event occurred on June 22nd, when a luminous sphere was seen by hundreds of people across multiple islands, including pilots, military personnel, and local residents. What makes this wave of sightings particularly relevant to our investigation is the consistent description of the objects. Metallic spheres capable of hovering, rapid directional changes, and transitioning between air and water without disturbance.
The 1976 Canary Islands wave represents one of the most thoroughly documented cases in ufology. What distinguishes these sightings is their consistency across multiple independent witnesses, including trained observers like pilots and naval officers. The described objects share several characteristics with our Buga Sphere: metallic composition, perfect spherical shape, and surface features that suggest technological purpose rather than natural formation.
Could these sightings represent technology similar to, or even related to, the Buga Sphere? And might they explain why cultures across time have been drawn to construct precisely aligned structures in this region? The connection between ancient sites and modern anomalous phenomena is a recurring pattern in our investigations, suggesting these locations may serve as either attractors or communication points for something beyond our full understanding. Moving forward in our chronological investigation, we arrive at the Renaissance, a period spanning roughly from the 14th to the 16th centuries that witnessed profound transformation across Europe. Interest in classical learning resurged, and innovation flourished in art, science, and philosophy. Masters like Leonardo da Vinci, Botticelli, and Raphael were keen observers of the natural world, often incorporating celestial elements and symbolic imagery into their works. The conventional interpretation of these artworks frames them primarily as religious symbolism or artistic license. However, when examined through the lens of our investigation into spherical anomalies throughout history, a more provocative possibility emerges. Could these artistic choices hold more literal interpretations than traditionally considered? Might they document actual encounters with unusual aerial phenomena, perhaps even orbs similar to our Buga Sphere? Consider Leonardo da Vinci's iconic Salvator Mundi, showing Christ holding a transparent orb. Traditionally interpreted as representing Earth, the saviour of the world, a closer examination invites a more unconventional interpretation. Da Vinci, meticulous in his observation of optics, rendered this crystal orb in a way that defies known laws of refraction. Objects viewed through a solid transparent sphere should appear magnified and inverted. Yet in Da Vinci's depiction, Christ's robes behind the orb remain undistorted. This anomaly has puzzled art historians for centuries. Leonardo understood optics better than nearly anyone of his era. His notebooks contain detailed studies of light refraction and lens effects. This discrepancy seems unlikely to be a simple error or oversight.
From a scientific perspective, the anomaly in Da Vinci's depiction suggests either artistic license or, more intriguingly, that he was depicting an object with optical properties beyond conventional understanding. The sphere in the painting behaves more like a holographic projection or a field of energy than a solid crystal ball. Could Da Vinci, perhaps privy to knowledge of unusual objects through eyewitness accounts or coded information, have subtly depicted an orb with properties unlike any naturally occurring crystal? Could this be a veiled reference to an object with advanced or even non-terrestrial characteristics?
When we compare this orb to contemporary accounts of unidentified flying objects, particularly spherical ones exhibiting unusual flight patterns and optical properties, the resemblance becomes striking. Could Da Vinci's artistic choice have been more than symbolic? Might it have documented phenomena witnessed but not openly discussed due to the religious constraints of the time? Beyond Da Vinci, other Renaissance artists incorporated unusual aerial phenomena into their works, often within religious contexts. Consider Carlo Crivelli's The Annunciation with St. Emilius from 1486. In this seemingly straightforward biblical scene, a distinct disc-shaped object is visible in the sky, emitting a focused beam of light towards the Virgin Mary. While traditionally explained as divine light or the Holy Spirit, the object's structured, almost mechanical appearance is undeniably intriguing. The beam itself is depicted with remarkable precision, appearing more like a directed energy transmission than the diffuse luminescence typically used to represent divine light in religious art of the period. Could Crivelli have witnessed similar aerial objects and incorporated them into his religious painting? The historical record shows that during this period, numerous accounts of celestial phenomena were documented across Europe. The Swiss physician and chronicler Felix Hemelin recorded multiple sightings of shining wheels and fiery globes in the sky above Zurich around 1420. Similar accounts appear in monastic chronicles from northern Italy during the same period when Crivelli was active.
What's particularly striking about Renaissance depictions of these phenomena is their integration within religious narratives. As a biologist studying human cognition and perception, I find this consistent with how humans process the unfamiliar. We contextualize it within our existing framework of understanding. In the deeply religious society of Renaissance Europe, any aerial phenomenon would naturally be interpreted through a theological lens.
The historical record contains numerous accounts of aerial phenomena during this period. In 1554, celestial phenomena were reported over Rome, with witnesses describing flaming shields and spheres of light that hovered over the city for several hours. Similar accounts emerged from Paris in 1461, when chroniclers documented a fiery round object like a ball of burning metal that reportedly remained stationary in the sky for an extended period. The frequency of these accounts during the Renaissance period is particularly noteworthy. This era witnessed unprecedented astronomical observation and record-keeping, with scholars like Copernicus and later Galileo challenging prevailing celestial models. Amid this scientific revolution, reports of anomalous aerial phenomena increased dramatically, suggesting either greater attention to the skies or perhaps a genuine increase in unusual activity.
As a scientist, I'm intrigued by the correlation between periods of significant human intellectual advancement and reported increases in unusual aerial phenomena. The Renaissance represents one of humanity's greatest leaps forward in understanding our world. If non-human intelligences were monitoring our development, this would certainly be a period of interest. It raises fascinating questions about potential catalysts for human innovation throughout history.
Another remarkable example comes from the work of Domenico Ghirlandaio, whose 1486 painting Madonna with St. Giovannino contains a peculiar detail often overlooked by casual observers. In the background, a man and his dog appear to be looking up at a small, disc-shaped object in the sky. The object is depicted with remarkable precision, a distinct shape clearly differentiated from clouds or conventional celestial bodies. The object's placement seems deliberate rather than decorative. It stands apart from the religious narrative of the painting, almost as though the artist included it as a documented observation rather than a symbolic element. What makes this particularly compelling is that similar objects appear in multiple works from this period, often as seemingly incidental background elements rather than central religious symbols.
The consistency of these depictions across multiple artists and regions suggests either a shared cultural phenomenon or independent observations of similar objects. From a scientific perspective, the specificity of these depictions, their distinctive shapes, apparent metallic surfaces, and unusual positioning in the sky, argues against dismissing them as mere artistic flourishes. These artists were documenting something they or their contemporaries witnessed, integrating these observations into their religious works as a way of processing and recording these encounters.
The Renaissance era provides us with a uniquely detailed window into potential historical encounters with phenomena similar to our Buga Sphere. The combination of artistic documentation, historical chronicles, and the emergence of more systematic observation methods allows us to piece together a compelling pattern of encounters. But our investigation must extend beyond Europe. Similar accounts emerged from across the globe during this same period, suggesting a worldwide phenomenon rather than isolated cultural interpretations. While European Renaissance art provides one avenue of investigation, similar accounts and depictions of spherical objects appear in cultures worldwide. In Japan, the Kamakura period chronicle Azuma Kagami documents a strange spherical object that emerged from the sea in 1235, described as an earthenware vessel that moved in unusual patterns before returning to the ocean. Chinese astronomical records from the Ming dynasty document numerous instances of pearl-like objects and luminous spheres traversing the sky. The imperial astronomer Wan Hu reportedly observed a metal ball surrounded by green fire hovering above the Forbidden City in 1430, an account remarkably similar to the objects depicted in European art from the same period.
What fascinates me about these cross-cultural accounts is their consistency despite geographical separation. Before global communication networks, people on opposite sides of the world described remarkably similar phenomena: spherical objects with metallic appearances, unusual flight patterns, and apparent technological characteristics. This consistency argues against purely cultural or psychological explanations.
In the Americas, pre-Columbian codices contain numerous references to spherical objects associated with deities. The Dresden Codex of the Maya depicts celestial entities descending from the sky in spherical vehicles, often associated with knowledge transfer and cultural advancement. These accounts find striking parallels in the Popol Vuh, which describe shining round houses in the sky associated with the creator deities. This global pattern of spherical object sightings, often associated with significant cultural or technological advancement, suggests a phenomenon transcending cultural boundaries. The similarity to our Buga Sphere, in shape, apparent technological purpose, and association with knowledge transfer, creates a compelling historical thread that we cannot ignore.
This object is not merely decorative. It's not junk. It was built with clear intent, and it's only now, in our era of advanced imaging and sensors, that we're beginning to appreciate how extraordinary it may be. While we must maintain scientific skepticism, yes, it could be an elaborate hoax, the complexity of its internal structure and its thermal behavior warrants serious investigation. If authentic, this could be one of the most significant pieces of non-human technology sitting in plain sight.
As we continue to unravel the mysteries surrounding the Buga Sphere and the possibility of ancient encounters with advanced technology, the artistic legacy of the Renaissance offers a fascinating avenue of inquiry. Could these paintings hold subtle clues, veiled within religious symbolism, to the enduring enigma of encounters with objects from beyond our understanding? The Renaissance, a period of enlightenment and artistic brilliance, might also hold a hidden chapter in humanity's relationship with the cosmos. The search for understanding continues here in the ever-illuminating shadows of the darkened crypt. Join us next time as we delve into other intriguing intersections of history, art, and the mysteries that lie beyond conventional understanding. The story of our universe and our place within it is far more complex and wondrous than we might ever imagine. Closing sequence with the show's logo and music